a little bit of extra time went into the election process that ultimately decided who would be that fifth and final member of the city council in the prettiest little city in Michigan. Jim Cowper, the current mayor of Sylvan Lake, reelected by just 11 votes after a write-in campaign that came down to himself and Luke Kasser in Sylvan Lake, recently decided after the Board of Canvassers in Oakland County certified the election. Joining us for reflection on this really interesting process that led to his reelection is the man himself, the mayor of the city of Sylvan Lake, Jim Cowper, with us on the Splash Live. Mayor, thank you for being with us.
Hey, thank you for having me, Tyler.
Happy to have you on. Congratulations on your reelection to the Sylvan Lake City Council. Had to wait a little bit for this, but I'm sure you're happy to have had it be worth the wait as you're now reelected to the City Council.
Yeah, I'm excited. A little bit of wait, but that's okay. Let the process do what the process does, and I'm ready to come back and work for the residents of the city of Sylvan Lake for 4 more years.
So this was a pretty interesting election in the city of Sylvan Lake. You had 2 open spots, you had 3 candidates that were running, but when voters went to the polls at the Sylvan Lake Community Center, they only saw one name on the ballot because of some technicalities that ultimately led to you and your opponent, Luke Kasser, being write-in votes. And so take us through a little bit of how the election process went for you as a candidate and how you navigated these pretty unique circumstances.
Sure. So I went through the normal process, went and pulled a petition, got my signatures, took the signatures into our city clerk. And then there's a simple form you have to fill out. So the clerk's responsibility is to validate those signatures and make sure those signatures are correct and legitimate Sylvan Lake voters. My responsibility as the candidate is to fill the form out. And there's one line in the middle of the form. I missed it. It simply asks, how do you want your name to appear on the ballot? And I missed it, left the form blank. So when it was sent to Oakland County said the form is invalid and I'm either not a candidate or I have to choose to be a write-in candidate. So of course I immediately chose to be a write-in candidate. My intent all along was to run for city council and seek re-election. So, technicality, it's a form. It's my responsibility to fill that form out correctly. I failed to. So the beauty of our country and the beauty of our government, you have another avenue. The other avenue is a write-in candidacy, and that's what we pursue.
And it's a great learning experience too for you as a candidate, for the city as a whole, to kind of see the election process still be able to play out, where a simple mistake that can happen to anybody in any circumstance, whether it's an election or they're filling out a form at City Hall, whatever the case may be, ultimately there are processes to counteract that and make sure that the end result still is at the will of the people or the will of the person in our community. So as you went through the election process as a write-in candidate and you waited on election day, what was that like for you as a candidate who, previously when you've been elected, you've known the results pretty expediently, but in this case had to wait a couple of weeks for those final results to come in?
Yeah, for me that really wasn't a problem. I felt comfortable all along that the residents were largely supportive. Yes, it was a very close race. Luke Kasser did a great job. Hats off to Luke. And so it wasn't really too unnerving for me. I think it was probably a little more unnerving for other people in the city, more so than me. We went through the normal process, just like when I ran 4 years ago. Yard signs, postcards mailed to homes, grassroots. Walk the streets. Yard signs, all of those things, email databases. Variety of things that you would do in any election. So I kind of approached it the same way and went about it the same way. So yes, I guess it was probably a little more unnerving for others, maybe a little more so than me. I was confident all along, and I'm glad the results are when the voters decided to choose me to reelect.
Mayor Jim Cowper is with us from the city of Sylvan Lake, recently re-elected to the Sylvan Lake City Council. Had to wait a little bit of extra time as the write-in votes were counted and officially cast and counted by the Oakland County Board of Canvassers to eventually come to this result where it was a very close race between himself and Luke Kasser in Sylvan Lake, and both ran a very, very nice campaign in the prettiest little city in Michigan. But now, Mayor, you get to get back to business in Sylvan Lake after the election, and like always, the 5 members of the City Council and the auxiliary board members, the city staff, get to look forward to the future. Right now, what are you looking forward to most about continuing to build the city and put the will of the people into action in your next term?
Yeah, thanks, Tyler. So the first thing is of course balanced budgets and make sure that we're fiscally sound, which we are. The largest part of our budget is the police force, and making sure that we have all the resources to keep our city safe and make sure that our chief and the officers have the resources they need to do their job on a daily basis. You know, interacting with city council and with our city manager to make sure that we're aware of anything that we may have to address. Thankfully, we don't have anything real pressing in front of us. We'll continue to do our roads. We did some roads this year. We'll continue to do that. Previous council had created some funding to be able to do that, and so we'll continue that. The other things are always trying to make the city the prettiest little city. So what are we doing, whether it's flowers or grass or trees and any of those type of enhancements? You know, we've had some great strides in the last 4 years in the utilization of our community center that our residents have flocked to and have chosen a variety of different ways to use our community center, and that's been wonderfully successful. We've had, you know, food trucks and music programs and a variety of other things where residents can get involved and volunteer their time to ask the city to help them put on an event that they may have a certain interest in. That's really brought the community together, and those events are widely attended. You know, we're a small city, you know, 900, 800 homes, 1,800 people. We have 200-300 people at a lot of these events. That's wonderful. So that's all good stuff, and we continue to do that. The biggest thing is always being fiscally responsible, and we've gotten better and better in city council meetings and study sessions where residents come to the meetings and speak their mind and ask questions, and that's great, and we welcome that, and we welcome more of that. And again, we've had conversations in the past about how Civic Center TV is a great partner that we televise our meetings so residents can watch them without actually going to City Hall or City Council or the community center if they choose not to. And that's a great scenario. I know some of our neighboring cities don't televise, and our residents really, really like the fact that we do.
You have a very vibrant city, an active city that takes action and cares about the issues that affect their neighbors and the great things that bring the entire community together. Mayor, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you very much.